We welcome you to the launch of the Mass Poor People's Low Wage Assembly and Moral March on Washington, D.C., June 18, 2022. And we need to do it with the biggest actions possible because we know the only scarcity is the moral will to do what's right. Veterans across this nation say enough is enough. My voice is just as valuable as anyone else's. We need the third Reconstruction. We have an immoral system run by immoral people. But together we fight, and we become an agent of change if we're rising up to demonstrate the compelling power that we, poor and low-income people, have to reconstruct society from the bottom up. It's time for a change. We are people of resilience.
This is the People's Water Board Coalition Water Wednesday webcast for June 8th, 2022.
Welcome, 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 beloved community. We are back again with yet another installment of the People's Water Board Coalition's Water Wednesdays webcast. I'm here today with my co-host, as usual, Valerie Jean Blakely, and we can't forget our people behind the scenes, tech guy Lou Novak and Rosalind Walker, that shares all of our content through social media. And today, my heart is warm and it is full because I have a guest that's so near and dear to my heart. I've worked in direct action with him. He is a Reverend Doctor. He's an author. He is a water warrior and fighter for poverty in his community extraordinaire. Today we have Reverend Dr. Bill Wylie Kellermann. Thank you so much for being here.
Hi, Nicole. Hi, Valerie. Thanks for inviting me on. And way beyond that, thanks for the work that the four of you do on this regular show. I just think it's so important and you do such a good job at it. Thank you.
Oh, thanks, Pastor. Appreciate you. It's really a great thing to have you on the show, especially right before the Moral March to Washington. Really excited to talk with you about that. But first, and it's a short show, so I'm going to jump right into it with the questions. You've wrote quite a few books. I looked them up yesterday. I had no idea how many, I had no idea how many throughout the years that you've written. But we wanted to talk to you a little bit about the book that you wrote, Where the Water Goes Round, and kind of why you wrote it and the inspiration for it and what the book's about.
Yeah, actually, I'll hold up a cover here.
And we'll put a link in the comments for people to order it.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, if I had my way, I'd have you go through the Source bookstore, but it's available online in all kinds of ways. The publisher is Wipf and Stock, WIPF and STOCK, Wipf and Stock. It's a Cascade, their Cascade imprint. Yeah, actually, the first chapter of the book was actually written in 1989 and kind of marked a broadening of my own participation in gospel nonviolence and direct action, which up to that point had been rooted largely in anti-war, anti-nuclear work. But now in the 80s, I found myself really fusing that with the struggles for urban justice. So all the essays and the chapters are connected with particular moments and struggles, and they all have a spiritual, theological, political angle on them. The one that I wrote in 1989 in particular had a lot of Detroit history to it and was entitled Discerning the Angel of Detroit. And it really was how the spirit of the city as a almost as a spiritual power, figured into struggles in the city. I don't know, you may remember Grace Lee Boggs used to talk about re-spiriting the city. And so it was kind of in that connection. And then in the last, this last decade, particularly with struggles around emergency management and the water struggle, which I know we're going to talk about, I was writing things for the New York Catholic Worker, Sojourners Magazine, On the Edge, Detroiters Resisting Emergency Management. And there was a point where I thought, geez, I should pull some of those together in a little pamphlet. And when I started to make a list and then realized I'd been writing about Detroit for decades, I ended up, making a kind of a book that's really about, it's a Detroit story, but told through my own participation and communities involved in direct action, nonviolent direct action. So anti-handgun, anti-crack marches, the Detroit newspaper strike, struggles with the banks, police violence, gentrification, urban agriculture movement, all of those are part of the book, but really all leading to a really solid section on the struggle against emergency management and water shutoffs. The title, Where the Water Goes Around, is actually one of the Anishinaabe translations of their name for this place, Wawiatanang. And I first wrote about it, reflecting on it in 1992 in connection with the 500th anniversary of the Columbus invasion. And then in particular, actually the title of the book came because the Beehive Collective in like 2016 was working on one of their murals where they tell the whole history and story in a single
we love the Beehive Collective
mural. Yeah. And they did this post. This is actually a poster which they did as a kind of a teaser that the mural was coming. Sadly, the project ended up, not coming to completion.
Yeah.
But anyway, they allowed me to use
the book came from the Beehive Collective, and it's so special that the pheasants on the front. I live on the north end, and I get to hang out with the pheasants.
I'm very lucky. Yeah. And then the book is dedicated to Charity Hicks.
The mother of the water movement.
Absolutely.
Yeah, in case people don't know who Charity Hicks is, she's we literally considered her the mother of the Detroit water movement. Right. She rang the doorbell, rang the alarms to tell us that mass water shutoffs were coming. Yep. They were going to be shutting off whole neighborhoods at one time. We knew it was going to be bad because of her, and
right.
She was, and despite all the anger from that, she taught us to wage love.
That's right.
That's right. That was her cry that summer.
It was. And we still to this day, we go by that.
Right.
In all of our organizing. We always come from it, from a place of deep love for people and the earth and all of that. And she taught us that. It's such a beautiful book for Detroiters, and everybody should get one. Everybody should just go out and get one. And if you can, go to Source Booksellers and get it from there, because we love Source Booksellers as well.
Absolutely.
They're fam,
Right. Thanks.
Well, the book itself, did it sell all over the world? Did it tell the story in that way? Was it a good way to tell the Detroit water story? Do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there are a lot of books from different angles telling that story. yeah, that's a book that's gotten out all around the world, as not just selling in Detroit, but it's because it's available online as books are. It gets a lot of wider circulation.
I love that.
Yeah,
It's just a beautiful way to tell our story, and to tell it from a nonviolent direct action perspective is really important too.
That's exactly
not
right.
only that, but it's our story being told by one of our community,
right?
Not someone outside of our community coming
Right.
in and observing, but somebody who lives through it and lives in our community every day.
Right. There's plenty of the other. Right.
Yeah. So grateful for that work. In 2014, you were arrested along with 8 other folks, blocking the Hamrick trucks from going out to shut off people's water. Can you tell us a little bit about that, and why you were compelled to do that?
Yeah, right. Yeah, absolutely. That of course was a very momentous summer. Detroit had been financial crisis had been manufactured by the state in large part, and the Governor Snyder had appointed Kevin Orr as an emergency manager over the city, and he had virtually all the powers of government and more, in fact, in a single person. And he's the one who began the massive water shutoffs at the beginning of the summer, and partly in anticipation of the bankruptcy that he planned and was really sent to trigger. In the course of that, at his behest, a private contractor, actually a demolition company, Hamrick Incorporated, was hired to do the shutoffs, and they would go to a block and just do a whole series of them. And one of those blocks was Charities. And she was up early. They were there early in the morning, and she intervened, both letting her neighbors know that this was happening, knocking on doors, but then actually trying to prevent the shutoffs. And when it turned physical, she called the police on the contractor, and they of course arrested her. So she was in the detention center for overnight, maybe 2 nights, but I think it was just one. And she was gotten out. That was really the Rosa Parks moment of the water struggle. Later that summer, she died in a hit and run accident in New York City, and was in a coma for a while. But the week that she crossed over, there were 9 of us who blocked the entrance to where the Hamrick trucks were kept overnight, and we prevented them from getting out for 7.5 hours. We know that day that we prevented over 200 shutoffs in July of 2014. And then there was a long legal process to that. The city clearly was trying to push this public event off, and we were demanding a jury trial, because under emergency management there was no recourse. There was no political, electoral resource
of everything.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. And so a jury was actually what we understood to be the last vestige of democracy in the city. Anyway, eventually 2 of us, Marion Kramer and myself, 2 of the 9, came to trial, jury trial. We had help from National Lawyers Guild folks folks, John Royal and Julie Horowitz, but I was defending myself, which has a number of advantages to it. I get to speak a lot, and both opening and closing statements and putting myself on the stand and all that. And we had an amazing trial. There was a point where the prosecutor complained that we were, to the judge, that we were putting the emergency manager on trial. And she asked me that from the stand, and I agreed. I said, that's exactly what we're trying to do.
That's right.
Yeah. And Nicole testified. Nicole was one of our witnesses. She told her experience of being shut off. The Honorable Joanne Watson testified, Maureen Taylor from the People's Water Board. We just had an amazing array of folks who came through to speak about what was actually happening in the city. And then after closing arguments and after the jury had been instructed, the prosecutor came rushing in with an emergency stay from circuit court pending a motion for a jury trial. And the jury was sent home for 9 months. The judge didn't rule on the mistrial motion till
they were embarrassed. The city was embarrassed.
Yeah,
exactly. They should have been.
And he didn't want it on his hands either, I don't think.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, the book ends with the jury still out. That's actually where things end in that story, that particular going. So that was a great group of folks acting together. And I should say it was actually one of two. There was one blockade of the yard just before Charity's death, and that was a very physical arrest where all of a sudden the police captain on the scene suddenly started waving the trucks through and actually, it was potentially dangerous to the folks who were blocking, and people were dragged and hurt, and all of that was filmed. When we went to court, again, Joanne Watson accompanied us to district court. They couldn't find the paperwork.
Of course,
it's like that had been videoed and gone all over, on social media, and I think the city didn't even want to acknowledge it. So it's like the paperwork was just lost. So that first group didn't go to trial.
I saw pictures of the first group, and it was very violent, but I was also there the second time when you all were arrested.
That's
and
right.
I heard a Detroit police officer look at one of the Homrick employees and said, if you punch one of them, it's only a misdemeanor. Like the Detroit police officer said that, and I heard that and saw that with my own eyes and ears. So that wasn't something that was hearsay or anything. I heard it. Yeah. So the police they felt like this was a waste of their time. They were angry at us because we were demanding affordable water for folks. I don't understand. There was like nurses and women and children and pastors.
Yeah.
They were angry at us. It's only a misdemeanor. You won't even go to jail. We won't even arrest you if you punch one of them.
They were angry because we were making them do their jobs.
No.
Well, and honestly, they were angry at the wrong people. I mean, be angry at the people who are shutting off your mom's water. Be angry at the people who are kicking her out of her home. You know what I mean? Like, be angry at the right people, but they weren't. That's not how cops roll. And
but I've always said that when they changed it and allowed people to become officers in the city of Detroit that don't reside in the city of Detroit, they don't feel they have a vested interest in the city. Right.
Yeah, that's a big change.
Yeah.
We did, I don't know if you remember, we delivered a letter from religious leaders that included the call to end the shutoffs, and for the water affordability plan. Those were the demands of it. And that same day, the Nurses United was they had a conference at then Cobo Hall, and did a march downtown. But they declared a health emergency as nurses in the city, and they came and read that declaration at the beginning of our action, which I should also say had kind of a liturgical element to it. You know, we poured a line of water, we shared water. Christy Bieber sang a water chant, Anishinaabe water chant. So it was all, and I know, yeah, Valerie, you were there shooting photos.
Yeah, that was the first time the LRAD had ever been used on me. I didn't know what was happening to me. They removed us from downtown Detroit. Thousands of people, children, nurses, women,
yeah,
fighting for water. Thousands of people, and for no reason. They didn't even give us like our first initial. You know how you're supposed to get 3 times to move. They usually give you 3 times. They give 3 disbursement orders. They didn't even do that. They just used it on us for no reason. And I didn't know what was happening to me at the time. And Abe Yumi was standing next to me, and he said, "No, they're using the LRAD on us. You're going to have to move." And I did. Then I heard it, you know, and everybody had to move. That was the first time of many that the LRAD was used for to squash any kind of any kind of movement as far as the water goes. And now it's almost regular at a protest to see it. It's a shame.
Yeah.
Thank you for that lifelong work, Pastor. It means everything to have you as community in the streets with me every day.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm glad to be there with the two of you.
We love each other, don't we?
We do.
That's the best part about this movement is we really are a community and we love each other. Okay, so let's get to the march. We've been organizing Poor People's Campaign. All roads lead to DC.
Yes.
June 18th. Folks can, go to the website and get registered. Let's talk about what it's been like in Michigan. It's been like a whirlwind of organizing and trying to get it all together.
Thanks for your, you're implicated in that because you've been doing, both of you have been doing some of the work on this. The Poor People's Campaign is a national call for moral revival, right? And really picks up the work of Martin Luther King, what he was doing at the time of his assassination. And he said that to address the giant triplets of racism, militarism, and economic injustice, we needed to fuse the movements of the freedom struggle, civil rights, economic justice, and even the anti-war movement. And this current campaign, which has picked up on that history, has added environmental catastrophe and environmental justice to the triplets. And in this last period of COVID, I think has really kind of pioneered in digital mass organizing, right? Yeah. Getting big gatherings and trying to use those as weight politically. But now we're in a moment where we're putting our feet back on the street, and that's the June 18 gathering. The mass poor people's low wage workers assembly, moral march on Washington and to the polls, right? You saw that at the beginning of the show.
It's a long name. I have to read it off.
Yeah, I know. I'm in the same boat.
Yeah.
Doesn't just roll off my tongue.
No. I'm like, just get to DC. That's all I need.
Yeah, right.
The best part about it, and I've been organizing with the Poor People's Campaign now since 2016, I think was the first time they came to Detroit.
Yeah.
And we met at your church at St. Peter's. And the one thing that was always appealing to me about the Poor People's Campaign is it encompassed everything. Like we were really organizing in silos in a lot of ways, you know, in different things, right? Some people organizing for universal health care. Of course, we're organizing to make water affordable throughout the state and the nation, right? Things like that. So we were all kind of siloed. The appealing part about organizing with the Poor People's Campaign was it brought us all there. At the table. Environmental devastation, that was another thing that I was working on, because we, you know, worked with 48217, Michigan's dirtiest zip code. So it's like most toxic rather. So it was like one of those things I thought, this is a great way to bring everybody at the table and not so siloed. And it really has done that throughout the years. We went from that, you know, beginning organizing to organizing thousands and thousands and thousands of people in 2018 after 40 days of direct action that went on throughout the states. We were talking about the direct action. I was on the bus for the Michigan Lead and Water Tour the other day. There was a handful of folks that had organized it, and what a whirlwind it was. You know, it was every day. We were in the streets. It was really extraordinary.
Yeah, and a bunch of those, as you'll recall, were directly connected to the water struggle. We went to Health and Human Services, where the director at that time was actually under indictment for involvement in the Flint water crisis. We went to Michigan Department of Environmental Quality. They connected all of the water issues, Line 5, Nestle, Flint, the Kalamazoo water spill, all of the, Enbridge spill, oil spill, all of those were as well as the shutoffs and affordability, were all connected there. And and then finally the one we did in Detroit, the sixth one, started at the water board and then moved to Campus Marshes for the direct action.
Eviction letters on their front door.
Yeah. So the Poor People's Campaign and the water struggle have been together from the beginning, and the three of us are among those who, you know, make and live that connection.
Absolutely. So, you want to tell people how they can get on the bus? We have
a bunch of buses, and if we can get a big push here at the end, we'll have more. We have two coming from Detroit. There are buses scheduled in Flint and Ann Arbor. We may need to consolidate those, but those are also options. The way to register is if you have online access, to go to poorpeoplescampaign.org, and right away it puts up a thing for you to register. You need to click on a map. You need to find a little circle over Michigan that is Detroit, or what city you want to register in. And you click on that and then register. If you need assistance beyond that, or if you need a scholarship, because there is a cost to this. If you need a scholarship, and we have full scholarships available, call this number, 313-433-1967. And
say it one more time, just in case somebody had to get a pencil, Pastor.
Right. 313-433-1967.
Absolutely.
And we're actually, you can register right up to the day before, but we're trying to get meal counts for the buses. So if you can register by Monday the 12th, that would help us on the count.
Yeah, we're hoping in Michigan to have everybody registered by Monday the 12th, so that we can make sure that there is food and things on the bus for everyone, and have what they need and are taken care of. Folks know me too, Valerie Jean. You can inbox me on Facebook or call me, and I can help with things as well.
Yep.
So that's it's really exciting. And the 2018 March was really, really powerful. This one, I have no doubt, will make historic strides.
Yes.
Some of these areas, you know, where we're in desperate need of, the earth and the humans are in desperate need of a break from the elite.
Yep.
Just doing things where,
Yeah.
we've reached a moment.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, it's not even a need anymore. It's not
It
even
is.
a want
Absolutely.
anymore.
Yeah.
It's a
Absolutely.
necessity.
Yeah.
That things have to change for everyone to be able to have an equitable way of living.
That's right.
That's just the only option.
Yeah.
So everybody got their marching orders, right?
Yep.
Everybody, Brittany, Bill, Nicole, you got your marching orders.
Yes, I should already be there.
Problems, but all roads lead to DC. All roads lead to DC.
I will be in DC on the 18th. I have to leave a tad bit earlier, so I'll be leaving on the 14th.
Because you're going to a water conference, and when you get back, you can tell us all about it.
Yes.
Yes. Pastor, really deep thanks for lifelong dedication to revolutionary goodness. And we love you and appreciate you.
That love is mutual.
Yes, yes. And thank you, Nicole, for always going on this journey with me. Lou and Rosalind in the background, thank you for the work that you do. We couldn't do it without you.
And to all our viewers, thank you for tuning in every single week. We really appreciate it.
And please share this out with folks and share out that and make sure that you're talking to folks about the Poor People's Campaign. Try to take care of each other, my friends. Until next time, stay afloat. Bye.